Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, we'll make a start. Apologies if there's any background noise. It is school run time in my house at the moment. So thank you so much for joining us this morning to learn a little bit more about the college, Swansea University. So my name is Catherine. I'm Director of Marketing and Recruitment at the college, Swansea University, and I'm joined by Gareth Davey, who is our wonderful recruitment manager. So if we move on to the next slide, Gareth, just to give you a view of some of the team who can support you should you have any queries with things following this session, and that could be more detailed training on any of the subjects that we touch very, very briefly on. It could be following up with any applications that you've submitted if you have queries around where they are in the pipeline or any of the conditions that have been offered, or if you would just like the team to come and talk with any of your offer holders or their parents. We are obviously here to be able to support you in any way possible. So those are all of the contact details of the team if you would like to follow us up on that offer. Moving on then, Gareth. So to give you a little bit of an idea of where we are going to be going over the next hour or so, we'll be obviously introducing you to the area of Swansea and Swansea University itself, so our partner university, before we move on to look at the college in more detail and really dig into how you can get your students into one of our programs when we have entry points, what subject areas you can progress onto, and also how students are supported throughout their journey there. We'll also touch on some of the key information that we have in place regarding the admissions process and also key dates that you need to be aware of for our upcoming intakes. We'll also then be talking in quite a bit of detail actually about the different areas of support that students have once they actually get to us at the college. So you'll be able to see how embedded they are with the university itself. Behind all of that information on the screen, you'll be able to see the Bay campus. So we will touch on the areas of Swansea that students will be living in. But needless to say, the building that you can see in the distance on the left-hand side of that screen is the college building. It's fully integrated on the university's Bay campus, and that really lends itself to giving the students a wonderful experience whilst they are studying with us. So, Gareth, I think I'm handing over to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, so let's begin with where we are. So the United Kingdom is made up of 4 countries: Northern Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales. And Swansea is based in Wales. So you can see that highlighted green on the map of the UK. So we are the second largest city in Wales outside of Cardiff, which is the capital. We're just 1 hour from Cardiff, about an hour and a half from Bristol, which you can see on the map there, and then 3 hours from the capital of the United Kingdom, which is London. So the city of Swansea itself is a coastal city. So this should give you quite a nice view of what to expect from Swansea. So this footage is over the city centre. So as I said, we're 3 hours by train, and the population of Swansea is around 250,000 people. So what you would class as a medium-sized city in the United Kingdom. And as you can see, a beautiful waterfront location, and this is going over, as I say, the city centre and the marina area. At Singleton campus, which I'll talk to you about a bit more, is just in the distance beyond where you can see that large tower building, which is incidentally the tallest building in Wales. So let's talk a little bit about Swansea Centre. So Swansea is a bustling city centre. We have a large association with sports. We have the Liberty Stadium, which is home to Swansea City Football Club and the Ospreys rugby team, as well as a number of live events that take place there. We have a brand new arena that's been built in Swansea City Centre. So it's a multi-purpose arena, and it's actually where the graduations for the university take place. We are the gateway to the Gower Peninsula, which is the UK's first area of outstanding natural beauty. If you're not sure what that means, effectively think of it as a giant national park with around 18 beaches, and they are award-winning beaches. So many of them are ranked as some of the most beautiful beaches in the UK. So for students coming to study with us, they're very fortunate to be able to enjoy the city centre, but also get out to the countryside. Our centre has over 230 shops, and that's everything from sort of big brand stores through to local independent areas. We have an independent quarter in Swansea city centre, and we also have, as part of the city centre, the largest indoor market in Wales, and that's been crowned this year as Britain's best large indoor market. So if you want to, or if your students want to get fresh produce or any sort of souvenirs of their time in Swansea, that is the place to go and get them. I personally love it to get fresh seafood and fresh vegetables. I made a lovely paella for the weekend over here, and the food is fantastic. And this view you can see here is actually the view from our office in the college. So this is overlooking from Bay Campus into over towards Mumbles area. So Mumbles is home to boutique shops, cafes and restaurants with a Victorian pier, and it has a new big wheel that's opened. I haven't actually been over to check the wheel out myself yet, but apparently the views from there are absolutely stunning. And that drone footage was over Swansea Marina, and that is one of the only blue flag awarded marinas in the UK. What that means is effectively very, very clean water. So when you go down there, you can see very clear water, and you can see the fish swimming in there. And there are boat tours that run along that area up the Tower River to our Grade 2 listed Havard Morva Copper Works. Wales has more castles per square mile than any country in the world. And there are 8 located in Swansea and Gower. So if you've got any fans of castles, and I know people tend to think of Scotland for castles, but Wales really is the place to come to for that. And Swansea's been awarded with a purple flag, which is the national award recognising the city's vibrant and safe nighttime economy. So we have an area called Wine Street, which is filled with lots of coffee shops, bars and restaurants for students who enjoy their evening entertainment. So a little bit about the university itself. So the university was the 29th university to open in the United Kingdom. We originally had just 89 students when we first opened as a university, and we now have over 25,000 students. So no international students when we first started, but a really, really large university, making up about 10% of the city's population. And what you'll see here are 2 images, and that is because we are a dual campus university. So the top image that Catherine mentioned earlier is our Bay campus, which is home to the college, and the bottom image is at Singleton Park campus. Each are around 1 mile from the city centre, and the university is made of about 40% undergraduate level students and then 60% postgraduate students. And as a university and college, we have staff and students from over 130 different countries. So a really diverse culture that we have in the university. And we as the college, we're thought of very much as the 4th faculty, if you like, as the partner, as part of our joint venture with the university. But the university itself is made up of 3 faculties: the Faculty of Humanity and Social Sciences, the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Sciences, and the Faculty of Science and Engineering. And what I'm going to do now is give you a very brief introduction to both campuses just so you can understand what is available on them. So this is the Singleton Park campus, and it is home to the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Science. So this is the only faculty that has all of its teaching delivered on one single campus. It has the Hillary Rodham Clinton School of Law, the School of Biosciences, Geography and Physics, the School of Culture and Communication, and the School of Social Sciences. We also have a dedicated mosque on this campus with an imam. Sheikh Mohsen is there to welcome all of our Islamic students into the mosque. And then we have multi-faith facilities as well. This campus also benefits from a GP surgery and dentist, as well as the Taliesin Cinema and Theatre. I personally love this. We've got in a couple of weeks' time the director of The Raid, Gareth Edwards, coming in to do a special feature on that film being shown in the Taliesin, and he's doing a live Q&A afterwards. So we do get some really exciting events that happen in there. And then you've got Wales's national pool and sports facilities that are available on that campus, as well as a range of restaurants, coffee shops, bars, and supermarkets. So a really lively campus environment, and very easy to get from there into both the city centre and to Mumbles. And then we have our Bay campus. So these are our new facilities, so less than 10 years old, opening in 2016. And this is where we are based. So the college, Swansea University, as well as the School of Aerospace, Civil, Electrical and Mechanical Engineering, the School of Management, and the School of Mathematics and Computer Sciences. And that is based in our brand new computational foundry that opened in just 2019. So fantastic, again, facilities on this campus because they are state of the art. And both campuses offer accommodation, but there's All of the accommodation on Bay Campus is modern because obviously it's a new campus. And as part of the college, we do have our own accommodation there as well, which we'll talk to you in a bit more detail about later. As with the other campus, there are multi-faith prayer facilities. We also have sports facilities on this campus. We have our great hall theatre, and then, as with the other, a range of restaurants, coffee shops, bars, and supermarkets. And some of those are big brand names that you would recognise. And I believe I'm passing back over to Catherine now to tell you a little bit about the college.
Marvellous. So the college then is the university's dedicated pathway college for students who don't meet requirements to join the university directly. And we are a joint venture between Navitas, who I'm sure you are all very familiar with, and Swansea University itself. And what's really important about the way that this joint venture is set up is that all students who start their studies with the college are Swansea University students from day one. So this means that they enrol at the college with their Swansea University ID. All of the learning that they undertake is using Swansea University systems. And really what this means from the student's perspective is that they have a very smooth transition onto the university at the point that they progress. They don't need to have new IDs or email addresses. They don't need to get to grips with any new learning systems because they've already been using it from whilst they've been studying with us. Within the college, we do offer excellent support. So we do that by making sure that our class sizes are small, that all of our students have got a dedicated personal tutor who will check in regularly with them to make sure that they're settling in, not only with their studies, but also with the sort of broader aspects of studying in the UK. We appreciate that for most students, this will most probably be their first time in the UK away from families. So we want to make sure that they are feeling comfortable in their new setup. In particular, we do receive under 18 students. So we will have a dedicated under 18s personal tutor who will go that extra mile to make sure that they are settling in. Sian organises quite a few events with the under 18 students themselves to make sure that they are connecting with each other and again just feeling a little bit more supported in their home away from home. As Gareth mentioned, we do have a dedicated set of halls of residences on Bay Campus. We'll dig into that in a little bit more detail further on. All of our students have got access to the university's online English language test. Again, we'll touch on that a little bit closer. And as you have seen, our academic building is right next to the beach, quite literally on the beach. And we are actually the closest academic building to the beach in the world. Now, we do have multiple entry points all through the year, 4 in fact. So we are in the run-up to our May intake, which opens at the end of the month. And then we have 3 further intakes that students can join us on. Next slide, please, Gareth. So in terms then of our partner university, and I suppose one of the big reasons that we're here talking to you, and you're probably thinking, well, okay, that's great, but why the college? Why Swansea University? Swansea University is a very well-regarded university, not only in the UK, but in the world. So one of the things that you might have seen recently is that QS released their World University Subject Rankings. And Swansea University did incredibly well in this. So we had 25 subjects which were ranked in the QS World Rankings. And we anticipate that that is going to put us in a very good position when the next World University Rankings come out in June. So currently we are ranked 307th in the world, and we do anticipate that that position is going to improve quite considerably in the next release. And what you will see when you look back over any of our rankings performance is that year after year, that ranking position has improved. So really that investment that your students is making is only going to improve over time as the university improves its positions. As Gareth touched on already, the university city itself is regarded as very safe. So as we are a mid-sized university, In Wales, students will tend to find that there is a friendlier vibe than you might get in other cities in the UK, and that is reflected in our rankings regarding safety and also the sort of student experience that students have. You see that we've also got rankings regarding, cost of living and how affordable the city is itself. So again, as we're not in London, Manchester, Birmingham, that cost of living tends to naturally be a little bit lower than you would expect in some of those big cities. And possibly most crucially, we have got a really good track record when it comes to placing students in employment after their studies. I think for most of the students that you're counselling, their end goal is to get a good job at the end of it. And we absolutely do everything that we can to prepare students for that. So we'll move on, as I know that that is coming up. So what can students come and study with us at the college? Quite a lot, actually. So I won't read through this very long list, as I'm sure you're all capable of doing that. But needless to say, there are a range of subjects that your students can start with us at the college at both undergraduate and postgraduate level. When we talk about undergraduate, we have entry points at foundation and also international year 1 level, depending on how much preparation your students need in order to join the university directly. And all of our programs have got varying durations, again, depending on the gap that they need to fill. So for foundation, we have 1, 2, and 3 semester level duration foundations. For year 1, we do actually offer a 2 and a 3 semester international year 1, depending on your student's level of English attainment. And then for pre-masters, again, students can study with us for 1, 2, or 3 semesters before going on to the university. Thank you, Gary. When we have a little look back over where the majority of our students are going, so this is a snapshot of our September intake. So the September intake tends to be the largest intake that we have each year. And we thought it might be useful for you to see a breakdown of which courses CASs were issued for. So at the moment, we have probably the largest proportion of our students studying year 1 business, followed very closely by a 1 semester programme in pre-masters management. But again, you can see that there's a really good spread of subjects, levels, and durations that students are coming to study with us on. Now then, in terms of what your students need then to come and study with us, for the vast majority of our programmes that we offer, there is a joint CAS option. So this means that when the student comes to study with us, they are issued a CAS that covers both the period of study with us in the college and then also that period of study with the university. And for those joint CAS programmes, it's a very straightforward IELTS of 5.5 with nothing below 5.5 in each component. We do obviously accept a broad range of English language requirements that we can look at. So that might be TOEFL, Pearson, and many, many others. It's worth pointing out that we do also offer split CAS options. So these really are for students who can't get to that IELTS 5.5 level, but don't want to miss out on study with us. So what we will do there is we will offer them a split CAS programme. So this means that we can accept a lower level of IELTS. It does need to be a UKVI IELTS in this circumstance. There aren't any other qualifications that we can take. And what happens is the student will have 1 CAS for their period of study for us, and this will be on a lower NQF level. Once they complete their period of study with us and they've passed all modules, the team will work with the university's CAS team to issue them with a new CAS, which then covers their next level of study. The student doesn't need to do anything in regards to resubmitting an application or anything like that. So we will pick that up automatically. So we mentioned this a little bit earlier. So all of our students are able to access the university's English language test. This is called the SWELT test. And this is for students who are joining us on a joint CAS programme. So as long as they don't need that split CAS, like I said, that requires a UK VI IELTS, they can use the SWELT to meet that English language exam. And really the benefit, well, there's a few benefits to this, but one of the benefits to this is that it's free to all offer holders, whether they're an offer holder with the university or with the college. It's online, so really, really convenient. And they do put on quite a few different dates throughout the year. So this can be a really popular option for students who know that they don't have time or availability to get onto an IELTS test. They can come and take a SWELT test. And we work very closely with the university's English language team so that we are aware of which of our offer holders are booked into upcoming tests. And we will also then directly receive the SWELT results once they've been released so that we can update our students' offers quickly. So again, we want to really minimise the amount of back and forth that you and your students have to do to try and get everything matched up. We're working in the background to make sure that that happens. In regards to cost then of our programmes, as I'm sure everyone is very keen to figure out where we stand there, we are quite competitively priced when you consider our university partners' rankings. We do have slight variation in bandings depending on whether or not a student is studying a STEM or a non-STEM subject. And we do have then discounts available, which we will touch on shortly. So very pleasingly, any student who receives an offer from us who is from Pakistan will be eligible for a guaranteed £3,000 discount. This is called the Thrive Bursary. And these discounts will be applied at the point that your student receives an offer. No requirement for them to submit any application forms for that. The admissions team will apply that directly. And students at the college are also eligible for a 10% fee reduction when they progress onto the first year of their studies at Swansea University. These are competitive, I should say, so they are awarded to the top performing students in each of the cohorts. So you can see there that students have to be maintaining a minimum standard of performance during their time with us at the college. And it's really there to motivate students to keep their level of academic attainment up. Over to you, Gareth.
Thank you. Right, so I'm going to take you through some admissions guidance now. So applications must be submitted through our StudyLink portal. And what's really useful for us when you are submitting these applications is try and get all of the information we require through as at the first point of application. So all of the CDs, transcripts and qualifications, if you can send that through, it makes the admissions job much easier on being able to turn around those offers for you. And it's really, really important that we have accurate and up-to-date student information. We have had instances where sometimes an email address has been created on behalf of the student that the student doesn't have access to. And that really, it doesn't help the student or us because they do get communications from us throughout the year once they've got an offer explaining about upcoming webinars, pre-departure talks. We have parents and guardians webinars that take place and really just important information about studying with us in the college. So please do ensure that any contact information included for the student is put in there. And we will, of course, make sure that we loop you into any comms that the students are receiving as well. All conditions and guidance on meeting are included in the offer letter. So effectively, once a conditional offer letter is made, it will very clearly state what conditions the student needs to meet in order to be able to study with us. And once they have met all of those conditions, we would then issue an unconditional offer. And then at that point, we would ask for any other documentation to be submitted for CAS. And CAS letters are issued by Swansea University and not by the college. So what you need to bear in mind when you are submitting everything for CAS is that our admissions team in the college will put together what's called a CAS pack. So they will request any additional documentation that's required, and then that is sent over to the university, who then process the CAS on our behalf and issue that to the student. So we typically say to expect 5 to 10 working days, although I would caveat that with when we're coming up to September intake, because it is so busy, because that CAS team for the university is issuing, obviously for us in the college as well as the university itself, you should build in a few extra days in there just to ensure the student have as much time as possible to be able to get their CAS letter and apply for their visa. Now, one other thing that we wanted to highlight to you in this presentation is about gaps in study. So if a student applies to us who has an academic gap in their study, we can still consider them. So if the gap is up to 18 months, that's absolutely fine. But anything from 18 months to 8 years, we would require a CV, a personal statement from the student, and then they would be asked to attend an admissions interview with one of our admissions officers. And then if it's over 8 years, exactly the same in terms of the CV and personal statement, but then that admissions interview would be escalated to some of the more senior members of the admissions team to decide on an outcome to that. But this could be a really positive selling point to some students if they are thinking of returning to higher education and they'd like to, look at studying in the UK, that we are able to consider their applications. Now, in terms of application support, all communication regarding applications should be sent via study link. So please do ensure that you use that, because it allows our admissions team to be able to keep track of what communications are going back and forth with the students. And it's really important to note that students cannot apply via UCAS. We do have the occasional student that will find its way through the UCAS system because the university offers foundation programs for home students. But then in those instances, if they apply for that, they would just be rejected for that and then sent over to us and have to reapply to us. So please do ensure that you apply to us in the first instance via study link. And I've already mentioned this, but making sure that the student's application, to get it processed as quickly as possible, all documentation, so transcripts, certificates, CVs, personal statements, are all submitted at point of application. And then there's an agent section for you to complete, which has all of your information, and then making sure that the student's contact information is accurate and up to date, so we can send all information relating to their studies. And that's not just the email address, the phone number is really useful as well. We often have WhatsApp campaigns with our students where we will directly help them via WhatsApp, and we have comms that are sent out via SMS as well, just to remind them of certain deadlines, or that they may be waiting on things like an admissions interview, just to remind them of when that will be taking place. And more, mentioning that, so some students are required to complete an admissions interview. So if a student is required to do this, this will be sent to them with a date and a time. They have to attend this interview. And so just to really emphasize this, if they are not able to attend, they need to contact us and arrange an alternative. If they don't show up for that interview, then it's unlikely we would give them another chance, because we have such a high volume of applications coming through. We can't consistently book interview times and have students not attending them. So please do make sure, if we contact you to say an interview needs to be completed, that the student either attends at the date and time we request, or they get in touch with us, or you get in touch with us via study link to let the team know that we need to arrange an alternative date and time. We deliver arrivals and enrollment webinars 3 times before each intake. So we really hope that we can get students to join these, because we go into all the information about everything they can expect from Swansea, how to book their accommodation, what clothing they should pack depending on the time of year, how they book their accommodation. Really, we go into their entire student experience end to end, from the point of admissions right through to actually physically arriving with us on campus, and the expectations of what life is like in Swansea as well. So if you can do anything at all to help push those students to attend that would be really, really greatly appreciated. You can have a look at them. So we record them and they are available on our ambassador platform, which we'll be telling you about later. So if you want to see what's included in one of those, you can go and watch one of our previous pre-departures on there. Students are required to complete an admissions student route questionnaire. Now, it's really important the student completes this themselves. The purpose of it is for the student to demonstrate they have an understanding of the institution they're going to be studying in, the course that they're studying, and also the country. And it will ask questions about, why they chose to study in the UK, why they decided on Swansea, and just a couple of things to flag on this, because we do see sometimes ones that aren't completed in a satisfactory way, and we have to ask them to be completed again. So please ask the student to make sure they include about 3 or 4 sentences under each line, so not just a one sentence area. The second thing is, don't just copy and paste off the website, or copy and paste off the website and put it in ChatGPT, because it becomes very clear very quickly. We can see it because we get so many of these coming through to us. We can tell when that happens. And finally, when you're asking the students to complete this, they don't have to say, they didn't look at any other universities, they didn't look at other countries. It's absolutely fine. We want them to show that they have really considered their place at the college, Swansea University, because sometimes we do have them going, I just looked at the college, I instantly thought of Swansea, and it's in Wales, and I've always wanted to study there. I mean, it's lovely if that is the case, but I think it's probably unlikely. Most people do look around, they do shop around and see what's the best fit for them. And that's all that we're trying to ascertain within this questionnaire, is that they did have a thorough look at their options before deciding on when they're coming. So if you can support us with that, that would be really greatly appreciated. Payment information is enclosed on the student's offer letter, and payment can take up to 5 working days to be received by the college and be attached to the student's student account. But you can send through evidence of payment to the admissions team via study link. So please do send that through if you've got it, because it helps us to just flag that student onto our cash tracker much earlier, so we can start preparing for when that payment actually hits our accounts to start moving forward. And when making a payment, ensuring the student ID and name is included. Ideally, it's the college ID, which would be really beneficial if you can do that, because once they move up to CAS stage, they will then be given their Swansea University ID as well, and it can be a little confusing with those 2 different IDs being in place. But if you can try and encourage them to use the ID that they get for the college when they're making payment initially. And then last couple of slides on student compliance. So students must have accommodation before they depart. And we know that this can sometimes be difficult, but we do everything we can to try and ensure that students are aware of all of their choices for accommodation. We'll tell you a little bit about our accommodation that's on site shortly, but having that accommodation is really important, because it gets quite busy during September, and if they haven't thought about it before they travel, it can make it more difficult for them to get their first choice of accommodation. And we have had instances of students not staying in Swansea and living quite far away in cities as far as London or Birmingham. And that really is not ideal to be able to ensure that the student is able to complete their studies effectively. We don't just want students to enroll, we want students to enroll and study with us for their whole degree, and make use of all of the fantastic facilities that we have in Swansea. So if you can help to support us with that, that would be we'd be very, very grateful to you. So we tend to recommend that accommodation is within a commutable distance, and that recommendation is 50 miles from the institution. Anything beyond that, and the student would likely struggle to be able to attend all of their classes. And students must physically attend enrollment, and we do not offer online or hybrid learning. This sometimes is mentioned, and we have had students who have been told, oh, I studied with the college before and I had hybrid or online. It's likely that was during COVID times when we weren't able to do everything face-to-face, but that is no longer in place. Everything is face-to-face direct teaching. So please do make sure, if you're speaking to students, that they are aware that they need to physically be in the college to receive their teaching. I can see a hands raised. We'll complete the presentation and we can take questions after that. But by all means, do please put any questions you've got in the Q&A section, and we can take a look at these once we've completed talking. Last slide from me on compliance, and then you'll be very happy I'm passing back to Catherine, so you'll get a change of face and voice. So depending on the student's visa and level of study, they aren't all allowed to work 20 hours per week. Not everyone is aware of this, so it's just so you understand that depending on the NQF level that Catherine mentioned earlier, some students will have a lower amount of hours that they can work in the UK. So if you've got any doubt about that, please get in touch with us and we'll be able to point you in the right direction for getting advice on it. Students are no longer able to change their visas, so they can't change from the student route previously called Tier 4, to a skilled worker visa, Tier 2. So it used to be that they could enter into the country and then change that visa. That is no longer the case in the UK. So if they come in on a student route visa, that is the only visa they're allowed until they complete their studies. And at that point, once they've completed their degree, they can apply for a graduate route visa if they wish to remain in the UK and work. And students must be in Swansea and fully enrolled by the enrolment deadline. We have had instances where students show up after this, even though we've told them this is the final date. We're not able to enroll them beyond that point, and that's because we may have examinations that have taken place beyond that point, or other types of assessments, and it would be really unfair to have a student join and have to sit an exam where they've literally had no teaching in place before they do it, and ultimately it puts them in a much more difficult situation to be able to complete their studies. And our goal is to ensure that every student that joins us completes their full pathway program, as well as the university degree that it leads on to as well. And finally, after enrollment, students are not eligible for a full refund of their fees. So if you get a student that arrives, enrolls with us, and then decides that they want to return to their home country, they are by all means welcome to do that, but we're not able to offer a full refund at that point. And if you've got any questions about anything that we've covered there, because it is we're getting quite into the reeds with that, I think, but we really want to be able to support you. So ask away any questions and we'll be happy to help. I'm going to stop talking now and pass you over to Catherine.
Thank you, Gareth. So we mentioned earlier on in the presentation that there is on-campus accommodation available for students studying with us at the college. And we are really, really fortunate in the college that we actually have 4 blocks of accommodation which make up the Rod Jones Halls of Residence. So you can see that in the background, some lovely students are making their way through the building. And we really, really recommend this accommodation for new students. Again, particularly if this is their first time in the UK and their first time studying at a higher education institution. It is quite literally a 3-minute walk from this accommodation to the college's academic building, so no excuses for ever being late to lectures. And by the very fact that it is on the university's Bay campus, it benefits from 24 hours of security. It obviously has got all of the university's facilities within a short distance. So that's the gym, a laundry facility, a small supermarket, together with different places to get hot food and coffee throughout the day. And of course, it's right by that lovely beach. The Bay campus itself is very well connected to the rest of the city. So there is a regular bus service that comes onto campus several times an hour. Students are able to buy a student bus pass, which will give them travel throughout the year. So it really just solve a lot of those sort of niggles and issues that students might be worried about when they first come to the UK. Obviously, all bills like heating, electricity, internet are included within the cost of that accommodation package. Students are encouraged to apply for this accommodation early, particularly as we move into the summer months when the UK students start to receive their results. This really is the time to start applying for accommodation to secure a place. Students can apply for accommodation once they get a conditional offer letter. There's no need to wait until that unconditional offer letter has come through. And, if they do get further on down the line and they decide that they'd like to go somewhere else, they can cancel. So I would really encourage your students to make that application now so that they aren't left disappointed and scrambling for rooms later on. All of the rooms are en suite, which is very lovely. As you'll see by the very position, students have either got this fabulous view of the beach or of rolling hills behind. And currently we do have some discounts on, so you can see those displayed on the screen. So for a standard room, we're looking at £140 per week, which is very, very competitive. Again, when you consider that all of their utilities are included within that price, they're not going to get any surprises further on down the line when a bill comes through. So please do encourage your students to check that out and get their applications in soon. thinking again a little bit more about the support that students receive whilst they're studying with us. Now, there are two teams within the college itself that lead on student support, and they're split into two halves. So first of all, you've got the student life team, and they deal with all of those sort of perhaps softer elements of studying at university. So student well-being, to make sure that they're settled into their accommodation, into the local area. The team will put on different events and activities to encourage them to get out of their accommodation and make friends and really start to make the most of being in Swansea. And like I said earlier, they've got that personal tutor system in place to make sure that they do have that dedicated point of contact throughout their time with us. And then the other half of the support team in the college is the education services team. So they will look at some of the more academic elements of a student's time with us. So making sure that they are attending lectures. They will be responsible for setting up examinations and assessments, communicating those to the students, and also then taking any queries or concerns that students might have around that and getting timetables set up. It's really important for your students to be engaging fully with both of these teams, as they do really form two halves of that circle which makes up the time studying with us. The door is always open, sort of both physically and metaphorically for these teams. Students are welcome to contact them whilst they're in the college if they want to pop in and see the team, or if they would like to send them an email or set up a Zoom to discuss anything that they might be struggling with. In addition to this then, because all of our students at the college enroll as Swansea University students, students have then got access to all of the university's facilities and services. And so this will include the At Campus Life teams, which cover faith, money, international, and so on, to again ensure that students are settling in and connecting with that wider community. They then have access to everything that the Students' Union offers. So the Students' Union is a student body run by students for students, and it's typically most well known for different societies that students can join, but it also forms a really important part of the student voice within the university. So students are encouraged to, again, make use of that. And then we have two teams which are really focused on getting students to make the most out of their studies. So first of all, we have the Centre for Academic Success. So this team will run various workshops, drop-in sessions for students who would like to really hone in on a particular area of their academic experience that they'd like to improve on. So this might be around note taking, it could be around sort of referencing workshops if they'd like a little bit more dedicated support there. And then we have the Swansea Employability Academy, and this is really where it gets quite exciting. So this team is set up to ensure that students are ready for a job at the end of their studies. But this team really is a little bit like my gym membership. It's there, it offers lots of wonderful things, but if I don't go and make use of it, I'm not going to feel the benefit of this. And this is really the same for your students. The fact that these opportunities are there will not mean that they automatically get a job at the end of the day. They have to go in and make use of these facilities and services. And so some of the things that the team over in employability will support students with is, first of all, advertising a range of part-time job opportunities. And these will vary from part-time job opportunities that students might want to undertake whilst they're studying, just as a way of topping up their funds. So they might be within the local area working in, hospitality, for example, and then also part-time job opportunities which are closely linked to their degrees. So making those introductions to employers and helping prepare students for any kind of interviews or tests that they might need to take for those. There will be lots and lots of opportunities for students to engage with these teams throughout the year. But again, it's really important that when you're counselling your students, you make them aware that it's really up to them to go and take advantage of this. No one in the employability team is going to come and knock on the student's door and say, oh, we noticed that, it's 5 months in and we've not seen you. The student has to go and make that step. So do make sure that they are aware of this once they get started and settled into things. And almost very finally then, now Gareth mentioned this area on our website previously, and really just to draw your eye to it and encourage you to go and make a little bit of time to go and have a look around. We make use of the Ambassador platform, sometimes shortened to TAP. And this is really a platform where we get current students to tell other people all the wonderful things about Swansea. It's all very good and well listening to Gareth and I talk about it, but we're paid to do this. The Ambassador platform is that opportunity to get that authentic view of what it's really like to come and study at the college and also Swansea University. So here you're able to talk to current students. We have a series of frequently asked questions where our students have answered them without that sort of glossy marketing answer. You can go and have a look at some of the content that they have generated. So they've uploaded a series of photos and videos. It's quite food heavy, which is very pleasing. And you can also then go back and look at some of the past events that we've run. So to give you a flavour, we have got a series of past pre-departure webinars. We then have sessions that we've run for parents, different taster sessions on different subject areas that we offer. So again, if you've got students who maybe aren't entirely sure what subject area they'd like to go down, this can be a really good resource for them. So highly recommend you have a look at our Ambassador platform. It should hopefully give you, again, just that extra dimension to everything that we offer here at the college. In regards then of some of those key dates that we've got coming up, so we mentioned previously that we have our May intake fast approaching. So you'll notice when you look at those top dates that many things are geared towards that intake. We have passed both the application and payment deadline for the upcoming May intake. It is unlikely at this stage that we will be able to accept any other students for that intake. However, if you do have anyone who looks like they have all of their documentation ready to go and proof of finances already in place, please let us know and we will have a discussion to see if we can squeeze them in. If not, we do then have our large September intake coming up, and it will be upon us before we know it. Just to draw your eye, you will notice for the September intake that we have two sets of deadlines, and these really depend on whether or not teaching is in any way integrated with the university. So there are a number of programs at year one and also pre-masters level that are integrated with the university. So this means that the university delivers some teaching. We have to be a little bit more strict around our deadlines because they offer very limited flexibility in regards to late enrolment. For the non-integrated programs, this is all of our foundations, most of our pre-masters and our year one in business related subjects. We can offer a little bit more flexibility because within the college we deliver all of the teaching there. And then I would be remiss to not mention that we have a November intake. So this can be very popular for students who would like to join in September, but for one reason or another cannot get everything together or cannot get that visa outcome to join in September. There is then that November option if they would like to join us, but not lose any time there. So finally then, to conclude, we've summarised all of the top 10 wonderful things about us over in the college, or TCSU as we call it. So if you are looking for some headliners to take away and share with the wider team. So first of all then, all of the students that we give offers to from Pakistan will be given an automatic £3,000 discount, which is applied to their offer letter. We then have progression scholarships of 10% available to students who are performing at that excellent academic level. As Gareth mentioned, we will allow students to come and study with us if they have gaps in their studies, but we will obviously require a few things in place to ensure that we understand why that gap has come about and what it is that is driving them to come and return to studies. Our admissions team is based within the college in Swansea, and we're currently operating a 24-hour turnaround time. All of that said, you have our contact details. So if you do have any students who get stuck anywhere, please let us know and we will go and unstick them and make sure that they move smoothly down the line with us. The cost of living in Swansea is significantly cheaper than other parts of the UK. So when you compare to London, we're looking at about a third less in regards to cost of living, which is excellent. We do then have that discounted accommodation currently available. So just to remind you, for a standard room, then you're looking at £140 per week, and all bills are included there. So no electricity, water, heating bills are going to hit the students, or internet. And the fact that it is on campus and very, very close to the college, it makes for a nice, smooth start to their studies in Swansea. In regards to the length of courses for a year one course, students are looking at 3 years of study, so they don't have any additional time. If a student undertakes a foundation, it could add an extra year to take it up to 4, but again, depending on the length of study that a student needs, it might not. Some students could still do everything in 3 years if they go on to a 1-semester foundation, for example. Postgraduate study in the UK is 1 year for a master's, and again, it will depend how much time students need to study with us, what that total time is. For the majority of our students who study at postgrad level, you'll have seen from our CAS issued slide that most students will come with us for a 1-semester programme before progressing on to their 1-year masters at the university. All of our students have got access to the Swansea University English Language Test, SWELT. So this is 100% online. And as I mentioned previously, we'll work very closely with the English language team to make sure that we know who's taking the test and that we're updating offers as those results come through. All of our students then have got that opportunity to work with the university's Employability Academy and really flex their career skills during university to make sure that they get that dream job at the end of their time. And very finally, but not least, Swansea University is a top 25 UK university. Please do keep an eye out on those QS World Rankings that come out in June. We expect to see some positive movement up the league tables there as well. So that is everything from us. Thank you so much for all of your time and attention. If you do have any questions, by all means, please do pop them in the Q&A and we will try and get to them now. Okay, so we've